Welcome to the Canon Challenge for week 9. Now, Canon Challenge videos in ModPo are always our attempt to find a flaw, a problem in the syllabus, the way the course is set up, to ask hard questions of the decisions we've made and to essentially disclose as much as we can of the work behind the scenes. In the case of week 9, it struck us that it was really important to reach out to the ModPo people, to ask the following question of them. In this era, increasingly, of AI and of access to artificial intelligence and large language databases, does our approach in week 9 to chance-based poetry, aleatory poetry, or computer-based poetry need to change? Should we be revising it? Should we amend it? So what I'm going to do now is give over my time and not speak myself, but read comments that have been made by some of the ModPo people about that question. Should AI be changing our approach to week 9? So we begin with Terry Talty, who writes, chance-based poetry has always been about the artist's process, the setup, and then politely stepping aside to see what falls where. The display, how results are presented to the reader, is also the artist's choice and critical to the success or reception of the work. If AI, Terry says, can aid in this process, great, but it isn't creating the art. And here's Lou Nelson. In ModPo, we've been using computers to generate Cagean-style chance-based poems for some time now. In fact, the entire run of ModPo, we've had that game where people can use John Cage's Mesostomatic to create their own poems, which is, a very simple kind of computer programming. Lou continues, it's easy to do this once you've chosen your source text. So when I think of the work of the poets who eschewed such aids, I have to think that their experience of generating the work was much different from mine using the algorithm on the ModPo website, the aforementioned Mesostomatic, a little machine we created. I imagine their work as slower, with more time for meditative thoughts during the process, and mind wandering, and boredom, and persistence, not usually things one associates with the creation of a poem. Let's turn to Aidan Hunt, who writes, I actually don't think much has changed. And really, Aidan and others are making me think that the characterization of our response, especially in the art world, to AI, to the prominence, emergence, predominance of AI, is tantamount to a moral panic, that people are overreacting to it. And I suppose from the point of view of ModPo, which has been interested in aleatory poetry from the beginning, a moral panic would be inappropriate, because if you were going to be morally panicked, you would have done that 13 years ago when ModPo began. Anyway, returning to Aidan Hunt, I don't think much has changed. While the physical act of randomizing is easier with a computer program, it's always been the conceptual process behind each particular poem that determined its artistic value for me. Chance or randomness grounded in a creative artistic idea is more likely to produce something that speaks to readers, and poets still need to have that idea for the computer to be of use to them. And now we turn to Denny Stern, who writes, poetry is inescapably ensnared by artifice and time. The best poetry appears to transcend time and artifice by engaging the reader directly in the present. It's helpful to know something about the times and the context he's referring to, historical context, and maybe even aesthetic movement context, in which the poetry one reads is written. Chapter 9 poets he's referring to an old designation for weeks 8, 9, and 10. 8 being the language poets, 9 being the aleatory poets, and 10 being the conceptual poets. These poets were writing in their own particular historical moments within their own technological constraints. But the idea of the aleatory itself is a very old one and remains unchanged. Now, I collected these comments randomly. I didn't organize them. These were sent to me by my request for comment, and they are amazingly of a piece. They are well aligned with each other. At the end of the day, Denny continues, after a long day at work, poetry has to stand on its own two artificially intelligent feet and pull itself up by its bootstraps, fly off into the sunset, collapse in reverie in an armchair, inhale to the chef's concoctions, and whatever it chooses to do. It's up to the readers to decide, Denny says, if it's good poetry and worth engaging. Bill Spear, who has been with us in ModPo since the very beginning of the course, writes, I imagine poets working with chance-based and aleatory procedures will benefit from AI developments, and AI poetry may benefit from what Charles Bernstein calls human-assisted AI poetry. A professor at the University of California in Los Angeles, UCLA, has suggested in an article that AI may at some point generate, quote, genuinely novel metaphors rather than only variations of those humans have come up with already, unquote. The professor added, says Bill, a cautionary note by suggesting that AI poetry may serve as a canary in the coal mine if it, quote, challenges humans as artistic creators and affects other human endeavors. And finally, Alana Shaw, also a longtime ModPo, says the following. My comment is about context and responsibility. The stakes have risen, and boredom will become a response. We, as poets and humans in the era of artificial intelligence, have an increased need, or maybe responsibility, to know ourselves better and what our intentions are when engaging in the freeing and fun world of chance-generated or aleatory work. The stakes of understanding context have risen with AI. Surprise will be more difficult. Will flarfy, that is to say flarf-like, flarfy 2025 become the new wave of cliched bubblegum jokes? I'm not sure exactly what Alana is. It's funny, that last line. I'm not sure what she's saying there. But what I really pick up on in her comment is a reminder of how freeing and fun using chance-based operations to create poetry is, how freeing and fun it is, and how contradictorily or counterintuitively original the process is and the result. What Alana is saying is really worth emphasizing, which is that the freeing and fun quality of the experience need not relieve us of the responsibility, as others that I've quoted have said, of understanding the context, which is Denny's point, and understanding the responsibility that one has when one is still committed to deciding and discerning what is beautiful and what is not.